Welcome to our seated breath work and meditation session today. Today, I wanted to talk about the root chakra. So, we're going to get really grounded and feelings of security and support and building our base. So, in order to build a good base, we're going to really think about the way that we're sitting. So, first, find yourself a super comfortable seat, and that might mean that you have some support behind your back if that's what's most comfortable. You can always obviously sit up tall, self-supported as well. That's fine. If you prefer lying down or reclining, that's also okay, but be aware of how your body feels, where it's at, thinking about uncrossing the legs if they're crossed, pressing the feet firmly into the ground if they're touching the floor, and maybe you want a pillow or a block or something underneath your feet if they're kind of dangling. And then thinking about how your knees feel if you're seated, whether you're more comfortable with your knees apart or you're more comfortable with your knees together, and thinking about having the knees directly over the ankles and the feet parallel on the ground. And then we'll think about the hips. So moving on up from the feet, the ankles, the knees to the hips, and really kind of wiggling around and getting yourself at that even space. So maybe tip left and right a little bit and find where's the center between left and right. And then maybe you tip forward and backward a little bit. This one's a little bit, I think it's easy to know if you're favoring your right hip or your left hip. I think it's more difficult to know if you're leaning too far forward or leaning too far back. So thinking about getting your head over your shoulders, tucking your chin a little bit so that your spine and your bones are supporting your head. Your head's actually pretty heavy. And when we crane our necks forward, it actually puts a lot of strain on the muscles in the neck. So if we can get the head over the spine, we can let the bones do all of the work. And because we spend so much of our time either on our phones or in a car or reading or on the computer, often our natural sitting posture is too far leaned forward. So think about getting that nice tall seat. And then maybe you bring the shoulders up to the ears and bring the shoulder blades together and down into a nice relaxed position. And if that felt good, maybe you do it again. Bring the shoulders up to the ears and back and down. And then you can choose if you want to have your palms face up to receive energy today, or your palms face down for grounding and stability, which would match our theme of the root chakra. But either one is okay for this first part. And then if it feels comfortable, you can close your eyes. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Just lower your gaze, focus on one point, kind of make your eyes go a little blurry, just so that you can pay special attention to what's going on internally, how your body feels today. And then we'll come to the breath. So letting the belly rise on the inhale and sink on the exhale. And if that feels like a lot to jump right into diaphragmatic breathing, we can just notice first in the chest and then in the ribs. And as we notice the breath, usually it naturally expands, it lengthens, it enhances. And eventually we can get into the diaphragm. The diaphragm's that group of muscles right underneath the lungs. And as the diaphragm goes down, the air comes into the lungs. And as the diaphragm relaxes and comes back up, the air can get pushed out of the lungs. So if you want to take your hands to the belly and press into the belly, you can feel the belly swell on the inhale and sink on the exhale. enhancing the breath, elongating the breath, taking bigger, deeper, longer breaths, and slower, longer, extended exhales, letting the nervous system know that we're safe. Long, slow exhales switch us into our autonomic nervous system that tells our body to rest and digest, that we don't need to stress, that everything's okay, that we're safe, we don't need to worry. Big, long exhales and slow, extended inhales. And then now's a good time to set an intention as we're working this nice, slow yogic breathing, this diaphragmatic breathing. What are you going to focus on today? So, the root chakra is about base and support. So, maybe you're thinking of how you can support yourself, that you're going to take an action or follow a mindset that's going to be supportive for you, that's going to build the foundation for good habits, for good mental health, for positive physical health. Or maybe it's something totally different. Maybe it's something else that you're working on or that you want to attract into your life. So set that intention, hold it lightly, and then let it go. Let the universe help conspire to make it so. And we're going to do a 5-5-5 breathing pattern. So inhaling for the count of 5. Holding the breath at the top for a count of 5. And exhaling for a count of 5. And you choose how fast or slow feels right to count. And maybe your counting can slow down as you progress in this exercise, but it's not a competition. You have to do what feels good in your body. Inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, holding at the top 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5. Stick with this pattern and I'll keep the time. We'll do one more round. So take your time. There's plenty of time. Inhaling for the count of 5. Holding the breath at the top. And exhaling for a count of 5. And then simply allowing the breath to return to normal. Maybe scanning the body, seeing if there's any places that are tight or constricted or feel discomfort. And see if you can breathe into those spots, seeing if you can relax those spots, seeing if you can do something to make yourself even 1% more comfortable. And then we'll bring our attention to the Muladhara chakra, which is one of the 7 main energy centers that we talk about in yoga and meditation. This is called the root chakra. It's at the base of the spine, the base of the tailbone, where you're sitting on your chair. And this chakra is based on the earth element. It's about grounding and rooting. It's creating a solid foundation, and it's the beginning of our chakra system that runs from the base all the way up to the crown of the head. And when this chakra is open, when the energy, or sometimes called prana, is flowing, it helps open up all the other chakras. This chakra promotes stability and confidence and strength. It gives us energy. The color is red. So as you're thinking of this chakra in your body, maybe you envision the color red. When it's open, or when it's balanced, or when this first chakra, this root chakra energy is flowing through our lives, we feel grounded, we feel stable, we feel confident, we feel strong. If this energy is blocked, then we might feel insecure or anxious. We might feel stressed. We might feel like we're floating through life, like we don't have a clear path or a clear sense of belonging. So as we're sitting, I'm going to invite you to do a little bit of movement, just very slowly, doing some circles with your upper body. So bring the weight to the right hip, to the back, to the left hip, and to the front. Just nice and slow in one direction. Feeling that space in your body where the root chakra is, and then switching the other direction, bringing the weight to the left hip, tucking the tailbone to the right hip, bringing the weight to the front, and circling in this direction a few times. It doesn't have to be fast, and it doesn't have to be big. It's your choice. It's whatever feels good in your body. And then we'll come back to a nice tall seat, and we'll do some tucks with the hips, with the tailbone. So imagine tucking the tailbone under and tipping the hips one direction, and then untucking the tailbone and tipping the hips forward. And we can join this with the breath, inhaling and exhaling. Similar to when we do cat-cows, but just a little more subtle. Tucking the tailbone and then rotating the hips in the other direction. And we'll carry on like this. This first chakra is said to have the energy to remove toxins from the body and refreshing this earth, this root element. And when the prana is flowing freely, it's said to promote health and freedom from physical and mental disease. We'll do one more hip tilt. And then we'll come back to a neutral seated position, nice and tall. Each energy center, each chakra has a mantra or a chant that goes with it. And you probably know Om, which is the chant that goes with the crown chakra, the sound of the universe. But there's also a chant that goes with the root chakra, which is Lang. And this, we can do it silently or you can do it with me out loud. It's totally up to you. This is the seed mantra, and it can awaken this prana or this energy. So I'm going to chant it 3 times. If you want to join me, that's great. And if you just want to listen, that's okay too. First, we'll take a cleansing breath in and let it go. Inhale. Long. And then take a moment. I'm going to do a visualization here. Because the root chakra is associated with feelings of grounding and security, visualize a time in your life when you felt super safe. A time when you felt like you were very much taken care of, that there was nothing to worry about, that there were no threats, that you felt like your safety was top priority. And if that's hard to remember, perhaps visualize or imagine, project, what would that feel like? What would be going on, or where would you be, or what interactions would you be having to feel a feeling of complete safety? And then switch your visualization slightly to feelings of security. And this could be emotional security in your relationships with other people. What does that look like and feel like? It could be physical security, feeling like your belongings and your own body is safe and not at risk. It could be financial security. Any interpretation of this word is correct, so don't worry that you're not doing it right. You are. So either, again, remembering back, visualizing a time when you felt very secure, or visualizing what would that look like? What could that look like? What would be happening? How would that be? And if you're going to project into the future, don't keep it small. You can make it as big, as wild, as lavish as you like. The world's your oyster. Your only limitation is the capability of your imagination. What does the feeling of ultimate security look like for you? And then we'll pivot our visualization a little bit to feelings of groundedness. What does it mean to be grounded, to feel like you belong in your life, that you know where you stand, that you feel that your values are aligned with what you're doing, that you're not drifting, but that you have some purpose and that you have some meaning associated with your day to day, that you're that you feel like you have an important role to play, however big or small. This isn't about how grandiose the role is, it is about meaning and about feeling that you have a purpose. So either imagining what that could look like, or remembering a time when you felt this way and bringing that to mind. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What interactions are you having? What kind of thought patterns are going through your mind? And then finally, pivoting our visualization to feelings of self-preservation. What does it feel like to put ourself, our needs, the needs both of our spirit, our mind, and our physical needs of our body first? So self-preservation can look a lot of different ways. It can look like boundary setting and being really clear about what it is we want and how other people can best give it to us. It can be about advocating and how we can best get what we need and want for ourselves. It can be about self-discovery and really documenting, what is it that would be best for me? What are the things that make me flourish? What are the things that make me happy? Or it can be about basics, about eating the right foods, about getting enough sleep, about drinking enough water, and really going back to the root of, what do I, as an animal, as a body, as a creature that has basic needs, how can I best meet those so that I can flourish both physically and then emotionally? It's hard to flourish emotionally when we're hungry or thirsty or tired. And then we'll come back to those deep belly breaths, breathing all the way down into the belly as the diaphragm expands, and then pushing all the air out on the exhales. And I'm going to offer you a silent mantra. You're welcome to say it out loud, or you can just simply recite it in your mind. And the mantra that goes with the root chakra, or one of the mantras that can go with the root chakra, is I feel safe and secure. So inhaling, I feel safe and secure. And exhaling, I feel safe and secure. And I'll keep the time. And then we'll come back for one more long inhaling, letting it all go. Long. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes.